Welcome again. My name is Manal Zainuddin, the founder of Orbit's Development Code, a transdisciplinary approach for conscious learning and being. I speak about education from macro and micro angles, education that is never limited to schooling and schoolwork, education that is never separate from the real personal and professional world, and most importantly, the education that is never separate from us as conscious beings. So, welcome again. This video is related to the Acts of Kind Attention series, and it is about the 8th of September, International Literacy Day. Literacy in its simple original form means the ability to read and write and do arithmetics. However, in this 21st century, it goes much beyond that, much beyond reading and writing and arithmetics to what we can refer to as literacy education, providing opportunities for learners or targeted groups to explore a variety of contexts and communicate ideas, insights, opinions, and bring forth potential to be a productive, active, interconnected member of the community. Now, International Literacy Day 2021 is celebrated under the theme Literacy for a Human-Centered Recovery, Narrowing the Digital Divide, focusing on the need to connect both basic literacy skills that we know to digital skills so that no one is left behind. This video focuses on children who either have no access to education or who are at risk of dropping out. So let's consider that from Orbit's approach. Owning our way, considering the connection of the basic literacy skills and digital skills so that no one is left behind, Literacy Day targets these two groups. The first group is the non-literate youth and adults, those aged 15 to 80 plus, who are referred to as Adult Learning and Education, ALE group, and I speak about this in a separate video. You can find the link in the description. The other group is that of the children who cannot have access to literacy, and this is mainly caused by displacement due to wars, to natural disasters, socioeconomic conflicts. Just last month, UN released a report titled Uncertain Pathways, mainly about migrants and refugees and the immensely negative impact on children and gender inequality. And I quote, "The number of persons living outside their country of birth or citizenship reached a record high of 281 million in 2020, representing 3.6% of the global population. Children younger than 18 accounted for 35.5 million of them, and over a third, an estimated 13 million, were refugees and asylum seekers." End quote. These children, who are referred to as children on the move, will not have the stability, will not have the security needed to continue or even start their journeys of literacy. So literacy, as I see it, is a two-way path with two hard suitcases: supporting illiterate youth and adults, and working on children's literacy to mitigate future risks within a framework of digital learning. And I think I cannot continue without mentioning one of the most inspirational stories related to fighting for education and literacy. The world-known story of a Pakistani internally displaced person, as referred to as an IDP, having been forced to leave her home and move hundreds of miles away for safety, to the youngest Nobel Prize Award winner 2014 for advocating for education, and especially for girls, through establishing Malala Fund. All that happened during the Taliban regime, when they banned girls from going to schools and destroyed 400 schools. Now, the story of this girl who survived 3 shots into the head by the Taliban and had to endure months of surgeries and rehabilitation in the UK is even more inspirational when we know that she was inspired by her father, who was a school owner and an education advocate himself. In her Nobel Prize speech, Malala says, "Thank you to my father for not clipping my wings and for letting me fly. Thank you to my mother for inspiring me to be patient and to always speak the truth. I am also honored to receive this award together with Kailash Satyarthi, who has been a champion for children's rights for a long time, twice as long, in fact, than I have been alive." End quote. Reflecting on this and much more through her book and BBC articles, we ask ourselves, If this girl was not supported and given freedom of speech by her parents and guardians, could she have had the courage to start her campaigns at such an early age, speaking publicly at the age of 15 and in such a terror-stricken territory? I think not, at least not to this extent of success and word glory. So as educators and parents, the first and simplest action to take is to tell our learners and children such an inspirational story, because this involves an adolescent who decided to observe, make a move to free herself and free others. This is a great example of what can be done for education and how important education is. Second, we can amplify our attention and commitment to spreading literacy in as many ways as we can. Now, the easiest path is focusing on our own learners and children's literacy, the circle within our control, so that we ensure that it's not taken for granted. Are we fostering reading, for example, as educators and parents? We can also share our resources with others, such as donating used books, read books to other children. I remember I was for years a user of We Give Books, a free website for reading online books, and every time one reads a book, that enables a book to be donated to children who don't have them. And I'm certain there are other apps that serve the same purpose. Are raising our standards. Now, the same Malala Fund has very exciting opportunities to spread the great message of education by sharing success stories of girls, opinions, and projects through what is called Malala Assembly. As educators and parents, we can, for example, share such stories and projects with our learners and adolescents so that they learn how to acknowledge their strengths and invest in their potential. Let us all reflect upon our learners and upon our adolescents. How many voices are there unheard? How many of those minds are not noticed? Few may even drop school. Can we prevent that? Can we support someone who has an adolescent at the verge of dropping out, at the verge of being displaced? As educators and parents, we can also act. We can find ways either to support them or speak about them, shed light on them, send them books, send them materials, acknowledge them on social media. Again, the key here is to draw attention to their talents and skills, their assets. B, believing in our assets. In a press release on the 3rd of September, UNESCO stated that 23.8 million children and youth worldwide may drop out or may not have access to school in 2021 due to the pandemic's economic impact alone. A very exciting initiative was started by a passionate educator, Gavin McCormack, Storytime with Gav every week. Gavin, who has been a Montessori teacher and principal, is also an author, started online reading sessions on Facebook, where he reads a book and hundreds of children enjoy the story from all around the world. And I personally know Gavin McCormack. He is such an amazing educator at heart, and that's how we can all contribute to education. As educators and parents, we can spread the word about such initiatives and share such resources. If we cannot help directly, we can always help indirectly. We can also arrange for campaigns such as donating books, raising funds, or even write our own simple books with our learners and children. Most importantly, educators and parents can give more attention to literacy in all its types so that they can keep their learners and children on track. And I will be later preparing a video resource about the other types of literacy. Integrating our mind and positive emotion. Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, the OECD, has been collecting data from learners, from parents and teachers, and issued its first international data resource describing learners' social and emotional skills, their correlation to the learners' surroundings, and how policymakers can monitor and nurture these social emotional skills. The report, Beyond Academic Learning, first results from the survey of social and emotional skills, was just released on the 7th of this month. And the interesting statements that, and I quote, persistence, trust, curiosity are positively related to academic performance, and stress resistance, creativity, and sociability are negatively related to academic performance, end quote. So in the case of children on the move, they are more likely to be affected emotionally and socially. Therefore, social emotional skills such as curiosity, resilience, persistence, trust, communication are negatively related to their academic performance. So they have less intrinsic opportunities to attain literacy skills. And I also believe that not having the needed literacy skills will bring down their level of self-confidence, perseverance, and agility. Now that's why, as educators and parents, we can ensure that social emotional factors are well attended to for our learners and children so that we can avoid dropouts. And we can also arrange in-person or online activities with the less advantaged children so that this latter feel appreciated and supported. T, tailoring to our needs and aspirations. In Lebanon, 42% of Syrian refugee children are out of school. A very inspirational project to help chronically ill learners who could not access school on a regular basis, a professor, Naila Fahad, built a free e-learning platform called Tabshura, which means chalk in Arabic, to help out-of-school children learn without the need for internet or electricity, which is the case in refugee communities, unfortunately. This Tabshura in a box is pocket-sized box loaded with educational material. Now, Naila, as a co-founder and president of Lebanese Alternative Learning, has helped 15,000 students and 500 teachers since 2017 through her technology. Naila works in partnership with Malala Yousafzai, the youngest Nobel Prize Award winner for fighting illiteracy, through Malala Fund. Other countries that can afford funding, such as Germany through its major program Digital Pact, can achieve digital modernization of schools. Now, the only challenge remains: will the full implementation be achieved? This is the case in most of the countries. So as educators, we are expected to support such funding programs by providing the right and ample professional development for teachers so that they can align with those high expectations. As parents, we can help monitoring our children in the way our children are using digital resources so that the targets of such programs are not wasted. S, spotting and solving our problems practically. Kupepo, a project initiated in the United Arab Emirates, provides used books and ebooks to Africa so that underprivileged children can access books through thousands of paper and digital resources. The interesting thing is that this project was brought into life, inspired by a previous project, Old Books for New Eyes, initiated by a 7-year-old Khushi, a student from Dubai, and her brother, supported by Lions Club team, to test eyesight and provide free glasses tailor-made with lenses to those children. Again, considering our blessings, the capital that we already have, as educators and parents, we can support such projects or create similar projects. As this video comes to an end, I proudly share also my grandmother's handwriting. My grandmother, who is right now in her late 80s, she could attend only early elementary school. She barely writes. She was widowed at a very early age and she found herself obliged to earn the family's living. Without her early literacy skills, she could not have managed on her own. She started her grocery store around 40 years ago and has been using those below basic writing skills to manage her small business. Unfortunately, she closed that business, but for all those years, it had been very helpful for her family. From this platform, I send her all my love, my respect, my admiration, because she is my role model. So to support world growth and sustainability, education needs to be our priority. We cannot eliminate adult learning education without strengthening children's literacy because they go together. So subscribe to view more from the series Acts of Kind Attention, and let's nurture conscious learning and being.